replaced their name with an X. The X stands for the name that they lost when they was a slave. You remember on the plantation, whatever the white owner's name was, that's what all the blacks' name was. And that's how they determined who the slave was. If his name was Smith, your name was Smith. If his name was Jackson, your name was Jackson. But the Muslims decided that what they was going to do, they was going to drop that last name. And then they were going to change it to something else. And if you know any Muslim today, you'll know that they don't have a simple name like Jackson, William, or Johnson. There is a berry called blackberry. It is a plant of the rose family, which have small black fruit. It's called blackberry. It grows wild in most parts of the United States. And this berry is very sweet. Sometimes you see it on hills and in mountains and in the backyard. It is said, the blacker the berry, the sweet of the juice. Again, we see where a black is beautiful. There was a man by the name of Frederick Douglass. You know about him. He was born in 1818. As a slave in Maryland, he learned how to read and write, and he soon became the dream of gaining his freedom. He was a slave. His name was Frederick Bailey, but he changed his name to Frederick Douglass to hide his identity. Douglass also served as advisor to the President of the United States. That was Abraham Lincoln. On February 20th, 1995, he attended a meeting in Washington for women's right achievement. That night, while describing the day to his wife, Douglass, by a massive heart attack, died at the age of 77. Frederick Douglass was a great man. After reading his story, after reading how he was a slave, and the slave owner's son was his friend. They played together. And when he came home from school, Frederick Douglass would get with him and say, "What did you learn in school today?" And he would sit right down on the ground and take a stick and write in the dirt. And that's how he began to learn how to read and write. He was the first black man nominated for President of the United States. A lot of people don't know that. He wasn't elected, but he was the first one nominated. So if we talk about black people today, Frederick Douglass' name would have to be mentioned because he was a legend. He was a pioneer. George Washington Carver, we all heard about him. Born around 1865 in Maryland on a farm where he devoted a strong interest in plant life. He took a peanut, and by taking that peanut, he was able to make a lot of things, such as peanut oil, peanut milk, peanut butter. He did all type of things with just a peanut. So if we talk about great men today, George Washington Carver's name would have to be mentioned. He died on January the 5th in Tuskegee, Alabama. And then here's my favorite, Matthew Henson, born in Maryland in 1866. Henson joined a Marine ship when he was 13 years old. In 1887, he met Robert Perry, who wanted to be the first man to make it to the top of the world. He was a black man. Robert Perry's dream was to go to the North Pole. And every time he would go there, something would hold him back. But one day he happened to make it with the help of Matthew Henson. He bandaged him up, and then he took care of his wound and drug him there to the North Pole. But he didn't get no credit papers about him. They wrote books about him. They gave him achievement. They gave him awards. They gave him plaques. But then, after Matthew Henson had died, he began to get achievement. A very sad story, but a great man. He was the first one to go to the North Pole. Many years later, after Henson was died, he got his achievement on March the 9th, 1995. And then there was the one that we all look up to, Martin Luther King, born in 1929, the son of a Baptist minister in Atlanta, Georgia, at the age of 15. He entered Morehouse College to study religion and was ordained as a minister at the age of 19 years old. Martin Luther King. He was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 1964. The youngest man to receive that. Martin Luther King was a great man. There was a woman by the name of Rosa Parker. You remember?
Yes, sir.
She refused to give up her seat. Martin Luther King came down and they marched and marched and marched until the buses stopped. And they was able to obtain civil rights by sitting anywhere on the bus. Martin Luther King. And then there was a man by the name of Jesse Owens. Not too many people talk about it. He was born in 1913. Single-handed beat the Germans in Berlin in 1936. He won 4 gold medals. After Hitler was there, and he refused to shake his hand. And he made a statement, said, we would have won the Capitol if it hadn't been for the black machine. Talking about Jesse Owens. Jackie Robinson, at the age of World War II, there was no black players in the Major League Baseball. The president of the Brooklyn Dodgers, however, intended to change that. In 1945, they made their choice. They chose Jackie Robinson. He was inducted to the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1962. Baseball, he exceeded both on the field and off the field. If you watch the story of Jackie Robinson, it's very sad, but it was true. How they called him all kind of names. Understand, they tried to knock him down with the ball. But he excelled and he was great. That's right. He did his fighting on the field. That's what we need to do, we as Christians. If you're mad with someone, don't throw a rock at them. Get on your knees and say, Our Father, which art in heaven.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We're talking about black today. There was a man by the name of Muhammad Ali.
Yes, sir. Yes,
born
sir.
in 1942.
Come on now.
And he had the name of Cassius Clay. He started to box his lesson in his hometown, Louisville, Kentucky. He won the championship from Sonny Liston in 6 rounds for the heavyweight championship. 4 years later, he changed his name to Muhammad Ali. We are talking about black is beautiful. Black is beautiful. The first time he lost to Joe Frazier in 1971 in 15 rounds. In 1974, he beat Joe Frazier in 12 rounds. He retired from boxing in 1981. Now he's suffering from Parkinson's sincere disease. Black is beautiful.
All right.
As we talk about black today, there are 2 writers that wrote about this man. One was Luke, and the other was Matthew. Now Matthew stated that they were compelled